it don't work both ways. We're not both going to be good.
That's right.
If,
One or the other, right?
if one's having success, the other one's unhappy. You know, I told my guys my goal is to make sure Neil Brown's mad when he comes off the field.
We have safeties coach, Dontae Wright. Questions for Coach Wright? Right?
So, Dontae, start with, obviously there were struggles last year defensively. What did you guys learn from that? What are you trying to change this year?
That more is not always better. I would say that's the number one thing we've done. We've really limited our play call because in our league, as you've heard me talk before, there's so many different formations and shifts and motions that when you put a lot of plays to that, now you got to remember a whole lot more. And now you play slow or you have an opportunity for big-time errors. So we've really, really done a great job of limiting what we call. I wouldn't say it's anything new, but just limiting what it is so that the guys know it inside and out, and now they can play fast and use the abilities that God gave them.
Safeties more than anybody else on the defense because you guys have
It's
more variables?
100% impacts us more. I would say more because the corners probably got the same amount of adjustments, but it does impact the back end a whole lot more than most people. And it's allowed our guys really they've taken a hold of what we're doing on defense and the limited playbook that we're doing, and they really have done a good job of understanding it, and it's allowed them to play faster.
What happened in today's practice that was so pleasing to you?
We got the ball in our hands a bunch. I know we had 4, maybe 5 for sure. We dropped 3 more. I can't say one was a drop. One skipped into Marcus's. I thought he still should have got it, but the ref called it incomplete, so it was incomplete. So we should have had the opportunity for 7 or 8 takeaways out of the back end. I shouldn't say the back end, the back 7.
That's not been the case this spring, right? This is the first time really you've created turnovers, right?
Yeah, with the little tweaks that we've made inside of what we're doing, we got a little bit more vision on the quarterback, and it's really helping us.
You guys had so many new pieces, safety, well, the whole secondary last year. I mean, a lot of them are here going through the second time through.
Yeah.
How much difference does it make for Marcus or Aubrey or all those guys that they've been through this before?
Light years difference. You got to think Aubrey Burks was really a first-time player last year. His first year he played in 6 games, I think it was, but majority of that was special teams. And in the last 5 or 6 games of the year, he was out with surgery, so he really hadn't never played before. So being able to come back and double down this spring has just added to what he can do, what him and Marcus both can do. I think I've mentioned in here before is when you get really good on defense, it's when you know what you're doing like the back of your hand. So now it allows you to look at what the offense is telling you. Because just like on defense, a quarterback's looking back there at the secondary to see if they're showing anything, giving any tips. Well, the offense does the same thing on every play, whether it be that number 2 receiver that he's looking back at the quarterback instead of looking at the ball. Well, I know he's going in motion if he's looking at the quarterback or he'd be looking at the ball. But if I'm sitting here worried about what my job is, I don't ever have time to look and see, okay, what is he telling me? What's his split telling me? What's that offensive lineman, if I'm in the core in terms of my job is in the core, is that offensive lineman back on his heels and he's about to pull? Well, now I know my fit's going to be across. But if I'm scrambling to get lined up and trying to figure out what call I'm communicating, I'll never have the opportunity to see that. So those guys have really, really done a great job, and not just Aubrey and Marcus, but all of those guys, and even Keyshawn Cobb has done a terrific job coming in here and picking up the defense and being able to execute at a very high level. So I'm excited about them. That's what every coach, I'm sure, comes in here and says, is they're excited about their group. But I really am excited about this group because they have that year under their belt now.
Aubrey talked a few weeks ago about now he kind of feels, looking back to maybe last year, communication, different things into that end might have been part of the issue, especially after Charles went down. There really wasn't a leader throughout the offseason to fill into that role, and that might have been an issue. Have you noticed that being something that you see maybe could be rectified this year through the spring? Has there been more of an emphasis on that, and how have you tried to work on that so that if an injury would occur, you get into the season, you're better to plug and play?
That's what I think we've done a tremendous job. Me and Coach Brown, Shadon, I've done a tremendous job of not just saying 1s and 2s, or threes, is we mix and match because, like you said, you never know when that's going to happen. And when that does happen, that guy better be ready to go in there and be on the same page as those guys that he's going with. So we've done that, whether it be a 7-on-7, whether it be team, whatever it may be. We mix and match all of our guys because, you don't know when somebody's going to get down. And when that person goes down, he's got to be able to mesh with that group because when you get used to talking to the same people over and over, well, once you get with another person, he don't hear or say the same things. And now it forces them to have to communicate. It forces them to come off this field and have to be able to talk to each other and sort things. Like we had an instance come up in practice today, and they want to start yelling and screaming. No, talk and communicate like grown men, and let's figure out what the problem is. And they only get to do that with more reps together. So we've done a really good job of mixing and matching and be able to move pieces around and different players with different groups.
In retrospect now, would you say there was a fair assessment on his part?
I would say that 100%. And, as a coach, you don't ever think about that happening, because we didn't play with the same secondary outside of the first half of the first game, the whole year. So you never see that scenario coming into play. Well, we saw it. So now we can be better as coaches and now get ahead of that in case it does happen.
You mentioned Cobb. How has he adapted? New system, new program. How's he come along?
You would think he's been here for 3 years, not just in terms of the playbook, but being around the guys. You hear him say, "I love you." We've made real, genuine connections. That young man has come in and opened his heart and dove into this program, and he understands that it's not just about him. Yes, he came here for a reason, but he's got to buy into what our culture is. He's got to buy into what Coach Brown and Coach Leslie and all of us are talking about, and he's done that. He's done that with the playbook. He's done that with the players, and like I said, it feels like he's been here for 3 years.
With him, what made you want to get him? What did you see on film? How did he end up here?
He's a great all-around football player. I can't sit here and tell you one thing that he does just great. He does a lot of things really, really good. He can play down at spear or nickel, as we're calling it this year when we move him down there. He can play down at nickel. He's playing cat safety, and he's extremely intelligent. I could play him in all three positions, and I do that. Like in the inside, I'll always put the cat safeties to the boundary and put the free safeties to the field. Let's get them to figure out what the fits look like from the other side. And he's really, really intelligent and understands grand scheme, big picture of how all the pieces fit together because he plays all of those different positions. So that's he's a great football player. He does really, really well in space. He understands leverages and pad level and all those different things. He's what you're looking for in a football player, even though he's a little sawed off, but he's a great football player.
Did you know that when you recruited him, or is that something you kind of found out this spring?
I thought it. I didn't know, I did not know if we'd be able to play him up top.
That's what I was asking.
I originally brought him in here just to play spear. And then we got into winter workouts, and you see how he moves around, and it's extremely fluid in his hips. He runs above average. He's not a blazer. I'm not saying that, but he runs above average. So you learned through drills and all those things that he can play up there. So we just said, to heck with it. We know he can play down. He showed that at Buffalo. He played nickel the whole time at Buffalo. Well, now we understood that he could play high. So now we've just left him at high, and we move him down there sometimes, which is a bonus. Yeah, and the good thing for us is him and Aubrey playing at the cat, and then when we go to speed or nickel, one of those two go down and play the nickel, and the other one plays the cat safety. And for a quarterback, that's really, really troublesome because, you look and you want to see two down there at the nickel all the time. Well, some snaps he rolls his butt back to the post, and then the post safety rolls in, and he's playing nickel. So it's a nice little bonus for us.
It might be just looking for some of the same traits you just mentioned about Cobb, but it's no secret the program, and Coach Brown talked about this, we're looking for more secondary help, corner safeties, etc., in the portal for this year.
Yes, sir.
So when that's something that is a focus, what are you hoping to acquire? What are you looking for in those type of players to know that, hey, this guy could fit, maybe that guy wouldn't fit? And then how are you even now thinking to yourself, well, this guy's not here yet, but in terms of the group, I'm doing this right now with the group, but I'm maybe going to have this guy, I'm maybe going to have this guy, so I got to wait to plug this in here. Are you thinking about that? Or you just wait until
Here's what I'm thinking about, and here's what we talk about. I'm looking for a cover safety, and that's it. So if I get a cover safety, if we get a cover safety, well, now Keyshawn, Aubrey, all of those guys, they can go play free safety, they can go play spear, they can go play nickel, they can go do anything once we get another one. Now, I have a cover safety in Aubrey Burks. We have an extra cover safety in Keyshawn Cobb. But when you bring another one in, now you get more athletic on the field because you can move those other pieces around. And that's what we're looking for. And here's something I tell my guys all the time is my job is to out-recruit you. Well, now in the transfer portal age, that's what transfers as well, not just high school kids. My job is to out-recruit you. Your job is to make sure that you work your butt off so that you don't get passed up and you don't get out-recruited. So we talk about, hey, I'm going to bring in a safety. They know that we're going to do that. So that's why we have such great competition at practice, because they know that somebody else is going to come in here and they're looking to do the same thing of take their job. So I better make sure I come correct every single day, or I'm going to get passed up. And at the end of the day, that's their job, is they got to make sure that they put out enough film that I can't say that that guy's going to come in here and take your job.
Biggest takeaway last year from what you went through is the mixing and matching.
Yeah. Mixing and matching and being on the same page. Being on the same page. Ren came around, Neil came around, Coach Leslie came around and asked we got to be on the same page. And that starts with us. Everything that went wrong last year starts with us as coaches. And we've got to be on the same page so the kids are clear about exactly what they have to do. And in the games that we played well, we were. In the games that we didn't, we weren't. And that's the biggest thing that we have to do is as coaches be on the same page. That way the players can be on the same page and they can play fast and do what they want to do, which is make plays.
Besides Cobb, Burks, and Floyd, you got a bunch of other safeties. Give me a look at some of the rest of the room.
Some of the rest of the room, well, Burks and Cobb are out to the field right now. You've got Marcus, you've got Christian Stokes, you've got Caleb Coleman into the boundary. Christian has missed the last 4 practices, which I'm really not disappointed because it's out of his control with an injury. But I wish that he would have those because I needed to see if he can help us at safety. Now, I know he's going to be able to help us on special teams, but I need somebody that can come in there and help us at safety. But he's going to be a guy that's going to have the opportunity over the summer and fall camp to show us and prove to us, because he has not, and he knows this, he has not done that in a few practices that he's got. He's shown that he has some ability, but now he's got to go out there and mentally be able to do it. He's got to go out there and actually make plays. He's got to go out there and actually communicate. And then Caleb Coleman's another guy in that rotation that's going to have to keep fighting and clawing and scrapping to see what we have out of him. And the other guy that I haven't even mentioned is Montre Miller. I know he's a corner, but he comes in and plays our nickel as well with our second group. And he's a guy that, once again, is a really, really smart, intelligent football player that we can do a lot of things with.
Ruffin's played a couple of different positions. He's mainly been corner lately, but
Yeah.
Does he play any safety for you?
Right now,
no.
We've done that young man, and he's a testament to him. He has done a great job playing both positions, but that is extremely unfair to him. So we have left him we have left him solely at corner this year, and he's done a great job with it because you can see that he's getting comfortable, because that's the problem with switching 2 major positions, not going from cat to free, because they're the same thing. But going from corner to safety, those are 2 completely different viewpoints and different skills that you have to have. And now he has all of those skills, but he never gets to perfect them because he was getting pulled in that direction, he was getting pulled in this direction, and now it's just like, oh, crap, what am I going to be today? Am I going to be a corner? Am I going to be a safety? That's just not fair to him. So we've left him at the corner position, and we're trying to figure out which of those guys on that back end on the safety room that can help us.
You mentioned being excited because these guys have 1 year. What was it like if you think a couple years ago you had 3 guys that were, in terms of playing time, had the most experience out of anybody in the team or even in the country? What was the transition like going from Alonzo, Scotty, and Sean to all these young guys? Was it kind of like having to start over?
1,000,000% starting over. I mean, their surface was down here, like they were completely new to it. Like, I know they had played defense before, but you play defense in high school, you maybe call 1 or 2 calls, and it's most of the time I play cat coverage. I got that cat. I'm just going to go cover him. Well, that ain't, we don't have the liberty to do that at this level. So you got to teach them from the ground up, and that's why you saw an Aubrey Burks and Marcus Floyd really come on at the end of the year. Their best football last year was at the end of the year from about game 6 on, especially Aubrey, because Aubrey really showed you that he's got a chance to be special. And if he continues to develop, he'll continue to prove to people that he can be special. But it was a clean slate, and you had to teach them everything. Like, as simple as I know we're talking about DBs, but as a DB and in our defense, it matters. What is the A gap? What is the B gap? What is it? Like, those are things that don't get taught in high school, and they had to learn all of that on the daggone fly, and that ain't easy. And I'm not giving them excuse because they wouldn't want me to give them an excuse because they're competitors, but they had growing pains, true growing pains, and that was expected. So that's why I'm excited, is because once you got about halfway through the year, you knew, okay, they're starting to come on. They're starting to figure it out. The game's starting to slow down for them. And that's probably the biggest thing, is slowing down, because when you're a young guy and you ain't seen it, it's really, really fast. But once you get reps and you get calloused up a little bit, now that thing slows down, now I'm able to use my skills.
One practice left, spring game, summer, fall. Where do these guys have to be when you get them back in the fall?
Oh, they better be at least where they are right now. Like, they can't start at the beginning of spring ball once fall camp starts. They've got to be on practice 14. I'm not counting the spring game. That don't count. That's just for fun. Okay? They better be where they are Thursday. They better at least start that once fall camp starts. Okay? And I say at least because you hope and expect that they're going to continue to get better throughout summer, and then now they're practice 18 essentially from spring ball. If you start and you keep developing over the summer, now they're ahead of where they were on practice 14 during the spring.
How good can Aubrey Burks be?
As good as he wants to be. Mm-hmm. As good as he wants to be. He can be an NFL player, or he can be a great college player. That's his choice. That's his choice. He's going to have to continue to keep developing his body, because he got to continue to put on muscle so that he can hold up. Now, with that said, I've got to do a better job, and that's, once again, with depth, of not allowing him to play 70 snaps a game, because you wear down really quick. Well, we were not made, but our hand was forced with the numbers that we had that we felt good about going in the game last year. Well, I'm hoping and praying, and I feel really good about it, that this year we're going to have somebody behind him that can take 2 or 3 series off him a game, because he was so wore out that even when he's in position, he can't make some plays because he was just tired, and it's not fair to him. And now, as a competitor, you want to play every single snap, but that's not real life. You can't do that. They don't do that in the pros. You're not going to be able to do it in college either. But he can be as good as he wants to be. What he decides and what he puts into it, that's what he'll get out of it. And if he puts it all into it, he can play on Sundays.
Keyshawn, the guy would rotate with him if right now?
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Right now.
How much conversation and, I guess, soul searching was there amongst the coaches, knowing what you went through? And again, a lot of it was stuff you couldn't control anyway. Was there a lot when you guys said, when the decision came down to, let's get back to basics? Was that just accumulation of what you guys talked about during that season?
It was, and it started from top down, obviously. It started with Neil and Jordan talking, and then it started with Jordan talking to us, and then us talking to Neil, and us all getting on the same page of what went wrong, first and foremost. Figure out what went wrong. We all know the obvious, the injuries part, but again, that's a cop-out if we want to just lay on that. Okay, what else went wrong? And those conversations are for in-house, obviously, but we got to figure out what went wrong on our end. And there were some hard conversations. There really were. But in order to have growth, you got to be able to have those hard conversations. And we had those hard conversations, and we all came to a conclusion of, this is who we need to be the best version of us. And at the end of the day, that's all we have to be, is the best. We don't have to be anybody. We don't have to be Alabama. We don't have to be anybody, Georgia, whoever it may be. We have to be the best version of us. And we came to a conclusion what we saw that being, and now we've merged that into the picture that you're seeing out there at practice right now.
You haven't done this that long, but how much has the transfer portal changed things since you started coaching?
It's the wild, wild west. It has changed it tenfold. I couldn't put a number on it. It is something that I didn't ever think we would get to, but we're here, and we have to make the best of it, and we have to accept that. We have to accept that we're going to lose players. We have to accept that we're going to gain players. And when we gain players, like we said in the office the other day, is, okay, this world has changed. Okay, our development model was this before NIL. Okay, well, if we don't change our developmental model, then we're the crazy ones because the world has changed. We have to be able to adapt to change. And now we're doing things moving forward that is adapting to that. And again, those are in-house decisions, what we've done, but we had to make changes in order to adapt to that NIL world, and it is what it is. We got to make the best of it.
Do you find yourself coaching differently? I don't want to say you have to be nice to kids, but knowing that they can leave, do you handle them differently, or
No,
how's that
because
work?
I don't know if some of y'all were in here when I first got this job, and I said my coaching style is tough love. Okay, and yeah, you think when the NIL comes into play now is you can't be tough on them because they can leave at any point. But I also said in order to have tough love, you better build real, genuine relationships. And if you build real, genuine relationships, then you can still coach them hard no matter what, because they know that you're not attacking the person, you're attacking the product, and you want the product to be better because it can be better and it should be better. If the skill set wasn't there for it to be better, you don't get mad, you don't get upset. But if you have the skill set that should be better, then it's my job to coach you really, really daggone hard. And I can only do that if I build real, genuine relationships with these young men. And yes, money makes an influence and all those things, and you have to have different conversations. But at the end of the day, if you have a real relationship with them, you're going to have a chance to keep them, and you're going to have a chance to coach them really, really hard and get what you want out of them.
Biggest challenge marrying the individual goals with the team goals? I mean, guy doesn't get playing time. He can say, well, instead of fighting for the job, I can go someplace else.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way for them to get out. If they ain't playing, they're going to be unhappy and they're going to get out. So I understand that one. If they're playing and they still want to leave, then that's the ones that really bother you, because it's not just I'm sitting over here, I'm being wasted. I should go find some more. That young man probably should go find another home. But if he's getting reps and he's still thinking about leaving, then you probably got the wrong person anyways.
As a coach, how do you not take that personal? When
You do. You do. And that's just the crappy part of the job, is that you're going to pour into some of these young men, and they're going to still make the decision to say the grass is greener on the other side. For what reasons? I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. They got the wrong people in their ear. They're just tasting the dollar sign. Like, some of that you just can't get around, and it hurts. It really, truly hurts. But, again, that's the life we live right now. That's the world we're in. We got to make the best of it.
The problem is you can't just boil it under an umbrella. There's so many different reasons.
So many. I mean, and again, I said it a minute ago. Some of those reasons make sense. Like, some of those reasons, yeah, you probably should. But when they're getting what they want in terms of playing time, and then they still want to, that one, those hurt still. And there's no getting around that. Because, again, you've built real relationships with them, and you hope that makes it harder for them to leave. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, anything else, Coach?
The world we live in.
The world we live in. Appreciate y'all.